spicy. It is getting spicy. All right, everybody, let's hop right into it. We got a lot to get to and not a ton of time to get through it. First off, thank you, everybody, for joining me. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. It's November 19th, 2025. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Thank you to the mods, first off, and thank you to everybody that has, kindly been contributing to this show, making it possible to keep it running. Multiple ways in which you can do that. Venmo up in the corner, YouTube membership just underneath me, and you can check out patreon.com/Boston Brian, as well as, throwing a super sticker and a super chat in that old chat there, as you see, would be very helpful. Welcome to everybody on this space. Thank you to Matt and all the mods over there. I appreciate all of you guys and all of the time and effort that you guys put in, and I appreciate you joining me. But yeah, first and foremost, again, I don't want to pat myself on the back too much or hurt myself too. But for a podcast, for a live stream, for a YouTube channel with less than 15,000 subscribers, to get as many things right, to call as many things right as we have on the show, it's just, I don't know. I feel like we should have somewhere in between 15 and 115,000 subscribers. But that's just me. What are we going to do? But thank you to everybody once again. Let's bring in the chat. Let's say hi to a few glorious people. Debbie, how are you? How are you, Jen? What's up, B-Man? What's up, Blues Lovin'? Yakov, Ask, how are you guys? Kathleen, Dame Dog, JP, Forever Young. What's happening, guys? What up, Janos? What's up, Kerosene Kara? How are you? I appreciate you guys. Make sure you're hitting that like button on the way in. All right, let's bust in here with obviously the news that everybody's talking about. Throw this up there. Let me see. This one right here. It's going to be this one right here is which one it's going to be. So obviously the Epstein files is the big news story that everybody's talking about. And as we talked about yesterday, we feel like this is going to backfire a big time in the face of both Mike Johnson and Donald Trump. And that's exactly what's happened, because Donald Trump, just remember that this whole thing, the whole petition was supposed to be defeated before it got to the House floor to take a vote. Like, they tried to intimidate Nancy Mace. They tried to intimidate Lauren Boebert. They brought him into the Situation Room, and they tried to defeat this discharge petition before it got to the House, before it got to a vote. Then they realized that wasn't going to work. Okay. Then they tried to, again, do their politicking behind the scenes. And then they heard that they were going to get their asses kicked, like we talked about yesterday on the show, in this vote. So then what they had to do is reverse course again and then make it seem like Donald Trump had given everybody permission, and it was, per his instruction to vote yes on the release of the Epstein files. Now, what we said yesterday was that between the House and the Senate, we thought some funny business was going to happen with either the senators, with either Mike Johnson, or with Donald Trump. Seems as if the Republican senators aren't playing games, right? So it seems as if they were like, okay, we're just going to send this as is to Donald Trump's desk, where Mike Johnson wanted several amendments and loopholes put in. We'll see a couple clips from him where he's freaking out. He doesn't like the speed and how rapidly this has been sent to Donald Trump's desk. Again, he's going to try to make it seem like it's a national security problem. Now he's going to make it seem like he's concerned for the victims. We'll be hearing from Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, on, possibly how these files have been kind of wiped clean of any, high profile Republican names or anything like that, which is why, we possibly could be seeing this role reversal, the reversal in whether or not these files can be released. But again, maybe it's just that they're not ready. And Mike Johnson's just a little scared on how rapidly this is progressing. So this is titled Epstein Files. Epstein Files bill heads to Trump's desk after formally clearing the Senate. We saw yesterday that it cleared the House 427-1, with Clay Higgins being the only asshole to vote against this. And then it was rapidly sent through here. We'll play just a couple minutes of this. I'll put this on the screen. Play a couple minutes of this, and we can get some more information on kind of how this went down, how it went from the House to the Senate, and now inevitably in front of, next step is to have Donald Trump sign it, which is just remarkable to think about in its own right. Like, just the fact that Donald Trump is now in the position to sign a bill releasing files that could and probably will do a lot of damage and do a lot to incriminate himself in these files. Not only that, but probably longtime friends, business associates, people like that. Like, it's amazing now that he is the one with the power, the pen that he has right now, and it's crazy. So let me just put this on the screen. And again, this is Face the Nation talking about the Epstein files heading to Trump's desk after formally clearing the Senate. We only have to dive into a couple minutes of this, and then we'll get into, again, like I said, we have some clips from Mike Johnson that I want to dive into, a couple clips that the IHIP ladies are talking about, referring to Mike Johnson, and then to round it out today, I think we'll talk about finally this ongoing scandal going on in Ukraine, and obviously some updates from the front lines. But all right, let's dive into this one, and then we'll get into all of that. Please make sure you hit that like button. Again, I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics, the political podcast made to sift through the bullshit, the propaganda, the lies of the mainstream media, the Republican Party, Donald Trump in particular, and then just to sift through it and to break it down for everyday working class, normal individuals like you and like me, because that's who these policies affect. So let's hop right into it. Again, the bill going to Donald Trump after passing the Senate formally. Let's go.
All right, we begin with breaking news out of Washington. The bill to release the Epstein files is now on its way to the president's desk. The Senate has confirmed formal passage of that bill after a near unanimous vote. Just yesterday, we know the House passed the measure 427-1 after President Donald Trump reversed course on Sunday and urged Republicans to vote in favor of releasing the files. The announcement from the Senate press office was made on X just after 10 Eastern time. It said, H.R. 4405, the Epstein files.
And again, we'll take a look at how, like, when we say that Mike Johnson and Donald Trump are panicking, like, they fully intended, like we talked about yesterday, to put in these loopholes, to put in, different amendments. Mike Johnson, again, trying to all of a sudden interject with this, like, national security threat that he deems that could be had in these files. And now he's all of a sudden talking about, again, how important it is to defend the victims and protect them, which pretty much says to everybody, like, he wants to go in and again, just black out everything. He wants to make sure that, everything he could possibly black out and everything that could be, redacted is redacted. Just these little things that he wants to make it more difficult. Again, we've heard no time frame, no timeline on when Donald Trump himself is thinking about putting pen to paper and signing this bill into law, right? Like, we have heard nothing about that. We've heard that he wants to sign it and he will sign it, but no time frame, which is something that we definitely need to keep our eye on, especially when these people are, panicking the way they are, which we'll get into with different clips. I'll show you. Here's this. Is the I've Had It podcast talking about Mike Johnson caught in full panic after Epstein vote passes unanimously. Quote, he's screwed. And again, here is where Mark Epstein was on with News Nation. We'll be looking at that as well. And then here's another clip from Mike Johnson that I want to bring up where he's kind of detailing these loopholes and amendments, or at least alluding to these loopholes and amendments that we could be likely to see, or that we thought we were going to be likely to see, that Mike Johnson thought he was going to have the opportunity to kind of put in there to slow things down, or at least make it so whatever is released is, beneficial to them. It doesn't hurt them in any way. And they have already previously gone through these records. Remember the 1,000 FBI agents that were tasked in redacting Donald Trump's name anywhere that it was found in these files, right? So we'll listen to Mark Epstein, and then I'll let you guys be the judge of whether or not that could be a possibility as well. Like, okay, now they're sure that they've gone through all these files, they've cleared all Republican names out of it, so now we can release it. Now the only people that are left are people that are democratically affiliated, or seen to be affiliated with the left somehow. So now that's why they're kind of gung ho about releasing them. But to put a branch in the spokes of that idea, I don't think Mike Johnson now would be as panicked as he seems to be, as in the clips that we'll see, if he knew that he had this kind of ace in his pocket with these files already being redacted of all Republican individuals being associated with this crime, being associated with these crimes, I should say. But yeah, let's get into. What do you say we get into? What was the next thing I wanted to see? Yeah, let's dive into just a little more of this. I appreciate it, and we'll go on to this next update that we have. Appreciate you.
Was received from the House and the bill is passed. A vigil was held on Capitol Hill yesterday after the House vote. Lawmakers and Epstein survivors, they praised the months-long bipartisan push to get the bill
passed. And that was
passed.
A great moment. That was great. What the hell was that all about? What just happened? I think the deep state trying to kick me off there. I don't think they like me talking about the Epstein files like that. My apologies. I don't know what that was. I'm not gonna lie. Don't know what that was at all. Let's see if we can put this back on the screen for you guys. But we're back at it. We're back at it. My apologies. Hit that like button. Make sure that people know that we're still here. I don't know what the hell was going on with that one. All right, let's put this back on the screen for you guys, and we'll get back into it. But yeah, this was, as I was just about to say, this was a good moment yesterday. We tried to catch this moment during the live stream where the bill was passed through the House, and there was a celebration, and everybody cheered. But unfortunately, we couldn't catch it live, and I didn't have enough time to kind of scroll through the entire live stream to go back and get it. But it was definitely a substantial moment, in the lifespan of this case, and it's good to see that the Senate acted as quickly as they did to pass it through, and to get it to Donald Trump's desk, and kind of leave it up to him, basically. The Senate said, you know what? It's on you now. You said you're willing to sign this. You said you want these released. Then fucking put your money where your mouth is, dickhead. Right? Put your fucking money where your mouth is. You don't care about these high-profile individuals that you say you're not protecting? Sign it. Put your money where your mouth is, dickhead. All right? But yeah, let's see if we can hop on here, because this is what I wanted to show you with MAGA Mike Johnson here. Where this was, I think, either yesterday or the day before. Apologize if I'm getting that wrong. It all blends together at this point. But this is just him he's not so much outlining or detailing in particular or specifying that that's what he means in this. But you can definitely tell with the rhetoric and the talking points that he's now, spitting out there at these press conferences, that he's trying to put a wrench in the works. Like, he's trying to gum up the works somehow. And again, this was before the bill passed the Senate, so he's not going to be as panicked as we'll see in the upcoming clips from after, when the House passed this. When the Senate passed this. But this is before, and you can tell he wants to make this seem like we can't rush, ladies and gentlemen. We can't just rush to get all of these files out there, because there'll be national security implications. Which I don't know if I've heard that associated with this. This might be the first time they're pulling that talking point out of their asshole. And then the other question that would kind of beg would be like, okay, so why the hell would a case involving Jeffrey Epstein and his sexual, child sex trafficking ring, why would that involve, like our sources, like the United States government sources? How would that reveal? Is he involved? Was he working with the United States government? Is that what's going on? Is that something we might be finding out in these files? Because that would be, big news as well. It's been suspected. It's been, put out there as a conspiracy theory that he's been working with multiple different agencies from multiple different governments, the most of which, the main organization that we've heard being like Mossad and Israel. But what's to say that he's not working with other agencies as well? The FSB, the KGB, the fucking CIA, the FBI, who knows? You know what I mean? But here's MAGA Mike Johnson again, and just about a minute or two of this. We don't have to dive into much, and you can kind of hear how he's now changing his tune on this, which is I believe, in order to throw again gum in the works and to make sure that this is slowed down as much as possible. Like I said yesterday, if they could just get this to go beyond midterms, then it would be so much more beneficial for them. Which is why I believe they're freaking out, because it doesn't seem like they're going to have any opportunity now to do that, when now the person that's solely responsible, that has the sole responsibility right now in order to get this going, is Donald Trump with his fucking pen, right? So all he's got to do is put that pen to paper, and it's in law, it's signed into law, and the DOJ now has to, again, start their process of doing whatever they're going to do to make sure that the public has these files. All right, so let's dive into this. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. And again, it's just more of, listening to what he's saying. Well, I don't understand why this doesn't let me go full screen anymore. Do I have to get rid of this? Let me get rid of this. All right, there we go. It's still like not full screen for me. Oh, yeah. All right, let's go.
Our identities be redacted. The victims of Epstein's evils deserve that protection.
Okay, so I cut in just a second here, but this is where he's talking about how, like, the importance of the victims and their names being redacted, which, if you think about it, is kind of ridiculous to say, and hear me out, because the bill that was written with the cooperation and in conjunction with the victims of this case, right? So we should not, he should not be worried about what is going on, because they are fully invested. They are fully involved. They were working with, fucking Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ro Khanna, and anybody else affiliated and associated with, writing this bill. They were fully involved. So again, they're on board. They've come out several times now in press conferences telling you how on board they are with all of this, and that there shouldn't be any holdups. There should be no more fucking slow rolling whatsoever. So if this is what the victims themselves are saying, this is what they've been involved in as far as the written word of the law and the language itself, then now why is Mike Johnson all of a sudden trying to slow to slow his roll, to try to make sure that this doesn't come out as quickly? And he makes it seem like, oh, there's much more work to be done here and making sure that no information gets leaked out and all that bullshit. Listen,
utmost priority that in any sort of release, all and every detail that could possibly reveal our identities be redacted. The victims of Epstein's evils deserve that protection. And
again, these are the same victims that Kash Patel and the rest of these Republicans have come out time and time again, day in and day out, to discredit them, or to put in the air of illusion, the possibility that these victims are all lying and this never happened. Again, didn't Kash Patel say that nobody else was involved other than Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? Didn't Donald Trump say that this entire thing was just a made-up Democrat hoax by Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and the rest of these fucking people, Obama, Biden? They all sat in a room and they concocted this, way back in the day because they somehow knew what the fucking situation was going to happen in, 2018 to 2025. It's just remarkable that all of a sudden now we're supposed to be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, clearly Mike Johnson and the Republicans they are very worried, about the victims in this case, right? Because that doesn't line up with anything that they've said before. Nothing that they've said before lines up with this type of rhetoric here. So you have to wonder why. You have to question yourself as to why they might be now doing this. And, as politicians, as slimy, sleazy politicians that they are, there's always a motive. There's always an agenda. There's always something happening in the background. And you kind of have to you fight through the bullshit, which is what we try to do here and on Blunt Politics, to kind of get the real information, to try to get the real narrative from these people, which is what we're doing here.
Discharge does not currently provide. Okay. Number two, the discharge petition could create new victims. Okay.
The discharge petition, again, he's talking about the discharge petition that they originally wanted to kill. And again, it's very important to remember that when you're talking to people, if you're ever in conversation with anybody that's, kind of giving you shit about, how the Republicans' handling of this, or they're trying to say that the Republicans have done a good job of handling this, just be sure to remind them that regardless of what's going on right now, their first intention was to sweep this under the rug. Their second intention was to defeat this before it got to the floor on the House, before it ever got to a vote. And we know we have, a widespread reporting on the meetings and what happened in them trying to intimidate people, again, like Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert, to not sign on to this discharge petition. So that's very important. That we continue to relay that information. They did not want this to pass on the House to begin with. Never mind make its way through the Senate already and on to Donald Trump's desk to be signed by him. Okay, that's just not what we saw, not what they saw happening in this case, not what they wanted. And you can tell they're on the back foot. They were on the back foot when Donald Trump originally had to do this 180 to give these Republican politicians the tacit permission to vote yes on this. Not that he was giving them permission. They were voting yes anyway, but he didn't want to be made to look like an asshole. He didn't want to be made to look a fool when he's out there talking about how it's a Democratic hoax, made up by Obama, Clinton, and fucking Biden. And he's got all of his Republican congressmen in the House, Republican congressmen and women in the House voting for this thing that he's now calling a hoax. You see how that would make him look stupid? So he had no other choice but to come out and say, yes, okay, now I say we can release them, either because he knows that his name has been redacted in any and all places, so he has nothing to worry about in that regard, or some other aspect. He's just been forced into that position, and he thinks that he has some other way with Mike Johnson at his fucking at his side to make sure that he slow rolls this. So I'm curious to how Donald Trump is going to respond to the fact that this is already sitting on his desk, basically waiting for his signature, and how long it's going to take from here, and what we hear from him now as far as rhetoric, talking points, and bullshit. When again, he has it's down to him. There's only one person now with the fucking power, with the sword in his hands, to make sure that these files get released and these women and girls see justice. And the fucking perpetrators and the criminals in these cases see their time behind bars. Right? They face their prosecution, their time, facing a jury, and then their time behind fucking prison bars. Right? And he's got the power to do that. So curious how long it's going to be. How important is it to Donald Trump? Is it to the Republicans? And we're going to find out, because they have the sole power alone. The House, they got the Senate, they got the presidency, they got the fucking Supreme Court, and now they get the power of the Epstein files to release the Epstein files. And the American public knows that now. The American public knows it is on MAGA Mike Johnson, it is on Donald Trump, and it is on the Republican Party alone now. And there's no other fucking wheeling and dealing to be had. Any other bullshit that goes on is going to be clearly directed back to this Republican Party, Mike Johnson and Donald Trump themselves. If anything funny happens, that's the good position that we're in. That's the benefit of the position that we're in right now. But he goes on here to talk about national security, and then we'll head on to our next clip from the I've Had It podcast. But yeah, listen to here where he talks about national security. He just went on to say that this potential discharge petition would create new victims. So this is the Donald Trump line of, we have to be very careful on what we release because it's going to destroy people's lives that have nothing to do with it. Well, if you had nothing to do with it, you shouldn't be named in any of these files. I got fucking news for you, right? Because, just for example, I have nothing to do with it. So guess what? Guess whose name you're not going to see in those files? My fucking name. Victor Harshman has nothing to do with the Epstein files. Guess whose name you're not going to see in the Epstein files? Victor's name. You're not going to see Kristen's name. You're not going to see Clover's name. You're not going to see Rox's name or Mr. Android's name, because they have nothing to do with it. I mean, we have to define what nothing to do with it means. If you're in this at all, chances are you were running in the fucking a bad circle and have some involvement or some knowledge of what was going on. And you need to be sat down. You need to be fucking, deposed. You need to be prosecuted for whatever you did if it comes to that, right? And I don't think we should be treating anybody any differently. But here's MAGA Mike Johnson again, using Donald Trump's talking point of, we don't want to destroy people's lives and people will be falsely accused and all this. No. The American public, I promise you, are fucking smart. We are smart individuals. We will be able to decipher whether or not somebody had active and criminal involvement in this, or whether or not they're just an absolute fucking scumbag because they knew about it and didn't tell authorities and didn't do anything to break it up, but may have had no financial or, again, sexual involvement in the actual crimes, right? But that still is for the American public to determine. And I still think, obviously, if you're a sick scumbag that was friendly with these people, didn't engage either financially or sexually, but still knew about it and didn't tell anybody, you should be absolutely called out by the American people. You should be fucking held to account. You should be put on a pedestal and have the fucking, the tar and feathers thrown on you, hypothetically, metaphorically, whatever you want to say. And that's just my view. And I think the American people will rightly be able to decipher between people that had, just kind of tacit involvement and were on the outskirts and the peripheral of all this, and people that have, were planning, fucking flying, going to the islands, engaging in the sexual activity, profiting either financially or anyways, otherwise through business dealings or stock trades, whatever it may be. I think the American people will be smart enough to be able to go through that and kind of figure out who we need to put on a pike and who needs to, who was just kind of wrapped up in this. You know what I mean? So again, here he is with the Donald Trump talking point, and then he goes on, I believe, to talk about national security. So they're just throwing out all of the bullshit here. This is basically all of the bullshit talking points to slow roll the release of the Epstein files thrown out by MAGA Mike Johnson in one press conference.
Because it requires the DOJ to release information, even in cases where the DOJ or the FBI has already reviewed it and determined it is not credible. It is false information.
Okay, so then they will be able to come out and say, no, this, or like attach a memorandum, attach fucking some written message on it that says, this has been investigated, this is deemed to be false, and then we can go through it ourselves and corroborate and confirm or deny what has already been previously reported on, because who knows what connections have had, with Alex Acosta's investigations. I do think that somebody maybe needs to take a second look at what happened with everything. But again, if it's been investigated, if it's found to have been false, then the American people are smart enough to realize that. We will realize that. Okay. And we can put that to one side and go after the monstrous individuals that did have the most impact on the lives of these victims.
Doing this and requiring this to come out could ruin the reputations of completely innocent people.
So again, he's more worried about the people that somehow were affiliated with Epstein but might be seen as, I don't know, quote unquote innocent, than he is with the accountability and the justice to be seen by the by the victims in this case. Again, just every MAGA talking point that has to do with this, all in one press conference.
Such as those who have may just have known Epstein but knew nothing of his crimes, or whose names he exploited. Think of this: innocent people.
Again, here he goes. Another excuse.
Names he be in these files, and they had nothing to do with this. And so by just haphazardly releasing it, you're going to destroy their reputations. Releasing information containing the names of innocent people would subject those innocent people to a guilt by association. It would create an entirely new group of victims who have no means to clear their names.
And sometimes in those cases, guilt by association is the right thing. Like, if you were fucking that inept, right? If you were that bad at determining somebody's, I don't know, fucking, how good a person they are, their morals, their moral character, their principles after 15, 20 years, again, not just as friends, not as acquaintances, but as best friends, said by both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in public occasions, either in deposition or in interviews or whatnot, but said best friends for 15 to 20 years plus. And then you don't know you're going to tell me you don't know what's going on? I'm sorry. Like, I'm not buying it. And if you don't know what's going on, that says a lot more about you, I think, and how naive and ignorant you are as to what's happening around you. And if you hold a position of power, then that should be taken into account the next time that you're up for a vote, because clearly you shouldn't be trusted in determining who should be fucking put into power, because you can't even determine who your friend should be in this one. And it's crazy that people, I don't know if we won't have time today. Maybe we'll cover it tonight, where people like Tim Dillon were coming out, somebody that we covered yesterday on the show for the first time, basically on the show, this right-wing comedian that MAGA loves, talking about how Donald Trump should come out and just say, oh, all rich people are like kind of in this, like, they're susceptible to being friends with sex traffickers and, drug dealers and, fucking pimps and shit. It's like, what the fuck? Like, so who says that because when you get wealthy, that turns you into a scumbag and that turns your friends into scumbags? Like, I'm not buying it. I think you still do have the self-determination to, figure out how you should run your own life and who you should choose to have around your life. But, that's just me.
Concern of Congress, and it should be. Number 3, the discharge in its current form fails to prohibit the release of child sexual abuse materials. That is a term of art. It's called CSAM, okay? It's defined in the U.S. Code. The discharge is so haphazardly written because, remember, it's just a political exercise.
So this is another one of his excuses here, where now he's seemingly trying to make it like they're so worried about not only making new victims of people that are going to be falsely caught up in this, but he thinks that like information by these people was written in this bill to haphazardly put other lives in danger or children in danger. Which I don't think that these Epstein victims, again, who were involved with the writing and the language of this, were involved from from day one with people like Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ro Connor, and all the other people in there. I don't think that they'd be willing to put other people in danger in this regard. So I think they've done their due diligence on how this should be done. And again, this is just another one of the reasons. Again, he's got about 4 or 5 of them here. We're not going to get into all of them as to why these files should not come out, or why they shouldn't come out immediately, why we should, kind of take a step back and let's make sure we're doing the right thing here, type of thing, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? And then there's, just for the sake of time, we'll dive into this because I know we only got an hour on the early show today. Please follow Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. We also have a show later on tonight, 2-hour show at 8:30 p.m. On the East Coast, 5:30 here on the West Coast. So I appreciate you guys if you would hit that notification bell. Also let you know when I go live, when I drop shorts, when I drop videos. Goes a long way in making sure you guys stay connected with the channel. But yeah, this is another one describing some of the more recent clips from Mike Johnson after the Senate has passed the bill and it's gone to Donald Trump's desk, and how the demeanor of Mike Johnson has changed, and how the talking points and the rhetoric of Mike Johnson has changed. And now it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. I got to talk to Donald Trump. He's already had phone calls from Donald Trump since this happened. Right? So that Donald Trump was watching, and I'm not 100% sure if it was after the House voted almost unanimously or if it was after the Senate cleared this bill. But at some point between the House voting and, the Senate passing this, Donald Trump was on the phone with Mike Johnson, bitching him out. And I forget what it was, just the other day where Donald Trump was questioned about how hoarse his voice was, and he was talking about how he blew up on people behind the scenes. He made up a story, of course, of what it was about, but I'm thinking it definitely had to do with the Epstein files, and not. I think he said it had to do with some tariff deal or some trade deal, some bullshit. But he said he let loose on a few people. But yeah, let's see if we can dive into this, and I'm going to get to. I just want to play where she plays these clips here from Mike Johnson. I'll play the beginning up to where she plays the clips, and then we'll hop on to Mark Epstein, where he himself tells everybody, well, not tells everybody, he's on with Cuomo on News Nation, but tells Chris Cuomo that he has credible information, that he was told by somebody credible that the Republicans have had these Epstein files basically wiped of all Republican names, and that's why they might be so kind of ready, able, and willing to release these, right? So that's the come up next. But let's dive into this. I've had it podcast clip about Mike Johnson and how panicked and screwed he is after, again, the House not having his bullshit. The House, credit where credit is due. The Republican senators in the Senate not playing games. They weren't having Mike Johnson's bullshit. They weren't going to stand in the way of this bill. They weren't going to add amendment after amendment and loophole after loophole so that people could point back to the Senate Republicans directly as to why this was held up. They were just like, nope, get it the fuck away from me. That shit is fire in the hands of anybody that touches it. And the quicker you get it out, the better it is for everybody. So let's fucking sign it, get it onto Donald Trump's desk, and then it's on Donald Trump, and the world and this country in particular can watch and see what he does next, because that next move is going to be very telling, ladies and gentlemen, very telling as to what is said and done next. And maybe while this is playing in the background, I want to check to see if Trump has kind of released any statements on Truth Social and said anything about this. I'm sure he has, but let me see if I can check it out. This is, again, the I've Had It podcast, Jen and Pumps. This might just be Jen on this one, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not getting that name mixed up, to talk about Mike Johnson. Let's dive into this one. I appreciate it. Hit that like button again. This is Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. Let's get into it.
Happened. Finally, the Republicans are showing some pushback against Kankle's McTaco Tits, the train wreck shit show, closeted old queen giving Bubba a blowjob. And all of this is dripping out through the Epstein files. They finally have voted against him. The Epstein release passes in the House. All but one person voted for it, some asshole from Louisiana, no surprise there. And then the Senate passes it with unanimous consent. So the fissures that Pumps and I have been talking about for a couple of months now that were forming first with the influencer base of MAGA.
We've been talking about it. We're talking about it too. Let's go.
Are now going upstream to the politicians because this man is losing all public support and confidence. Why it took 10 years is another podcast entirely. But let's go ahead and listen to Little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson.
All right, so she's about to play a clip of Mike Johnson kind of being questioned by reporters as he walks up, through the halls of Congress. I believe he was on his way to sit with MBS, which again goes to show what these people actually care about. He's sprinting up the stairs to talk to an actual criminal terrorist who murdered, an American journalist, dismembered him, ordered him to be dismembered, and is now sitting, buddy with these people. Donald Trump, I believe, at this moment in time, is still speaking at the, some Saudi Arabian money conference for his pockets and his pockets alone, as kind of the world burns and Donald Trump allows this kind of this country to crumble economically, financially, socioeconomically, with our fucking allies, with as far as immigration. I mean, you name it, and Donald Trump has pretty much ruined that statistic as far as our country goes. But yeah, here she is about to play Mike Johnson. I want you to kind of juxtapose his demeanor, how he's answering the question, how unwilling he is to stop and talk to reporters, from what we just saw in that clip previously.
And this is him right after the Senate votes to release using unanimous consent. I want you to notice a couple of things. He looks like a little scared rat, and his cheeks are full-blown blush. Play the clip.
Any reaction to Leader Thune seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I am
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think
Imagine that. Imagine saying that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just like walk you through this. This is now the Speaker of the fucking House of Representatives saying that he's disappointed in the outcome of how quickly the Senate pushed through a bill to release evidence that would prosecute sexual traffickers, child sexual traffickers. And Mike Johnson, the fucking Republican Speaker of the House, is disappointed in that result. Now, again, I don't know if that tells you anything that you need to know or, everything that you need to know, but it damn sure gives you a good clue as to, where these people lie in their allegiance and what their true intentions really are.
I'm told I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it?
The president about that. So clearly, since it passed the Senate, now that I hear this, after it passed the Senate, Donald Trump was so fucking pissed off. He's so worried that it had no amendments, no loopholes, no guardrails, nothing to slow roll it from getting to his desk, that he immediately hopped on the phone, to MAGA Mike Johnson here, grind a mic. To kind of give him a lashing, to kind of give him a whipping so hard that his fucking son's cell phone started ringing. Tell you the truth.
You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
This is telling. And I'll hop out of the way. But check this out. Is the president, she says, is the president supportive of it in its current form? Okay, that's the question asked. Should be a very simple yes, considering Donald Trump on several occasions now and people speaking on behalf of Donald Trump said that he's more than willing to sign it in its current form, right? Sign it as it is. But MAGA Mike, fucking grinder Mike here, doesn't know how to answer this question. And his stumbling on this, again, for a slimy, sleazy, seasoned politician who weaseled his way into the Speaker of the House position, shouldn't fucking stumble and stutter and and ooh and loo and like he does in this clip. But listen to him here. Doesn't quite know how to answer this question because he wants the amendments, he wants the loopholes, but he can't go outright and say that Donald Trump also wants those, considering he already said he wants to sign this basically in its current form. So check this out.
President about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing there with the Crown Prince.
Are you frustrated in the?
So he's got ladies and gentlemen, report. He's going to rush off to a meeting, a dinner with the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to get there before MBS has bloody hands, because apparently there's knives involved with the dinner. I think they're having steak, so everybody wants to get in there and shake his hands before they're covered in fucking blood. Again, he doesn't want to talk about the Epstein files, doesn't want to talk about the release of those, and how it just passed the Senate, and how it could go to the president's desk and he could sign it basically right now if he fucking wanted to, as far as I'm concerned, as far as my knowledge takes me, right? But he's not. Nope. Let's worry about the Saudi Arabian Economic Forum, and let's worry about no more questions later. I got to go run to MBS. Again, goes to show you what they actually care about and don't care about in this situation.
Okay. All right. Okay. He was sitting with the Crown Prince who murdered an American journalist, who chopped him up with a bone saw and then put him in a tub of acid and poured him down the drain. Moses Mike Grinder, I'm a big Christian Johnson. That's who he was having dinner with. Furthermore, he and the president are unhappy. Like, why is he colluding with the executive branch to cover up pedophilia?
And I'm just going to go skip ahead here. I think she plays another clip here from Mike Johnson. I'm not sure if it was the same one we were just referencing a minute ago, but let's see what she plays here.
Within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum.
Oh, yeah. This is the one where he adds another excuse onto it. This is the classified information excuse, of course. So let's see if we can get all of this one.
This is his number one concern. Play the clip.
National security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why?
I'm sorry. So are we going to go back to classifications and then can we bring up Donald Trump's bathroom in which he had and stored classified documents relating to, again, nuclear fucking material, nuclear information and our allies and attack plans and stuff like that. Because he's now trying to make it seem like, and getting the word classified information in this is probably in there because of the investigations that were done. But at this point, we're trying to, we're basically declassifying the whole fucking thing. That's the point of this. That's the entire point of all of this, is to declassify the information and get the files out to the public so that the public has the information, and then we can determine and put the right pressure on the right people on them to be prosecuted or for the prosecutions to take place, right? This isn't like, okay, spies are involved in how we got information and we're going to release detailed information on CIA spies. That's what he's trying to make it seem like we're giving away war secrets in this information, but it's not. So again, this is just another use of any and all means he has at his disposal to try to slow roll this this effort, and which is why he looks so panicked now that these efforts didn't happen. These were supposed to have been put in between the House and the Senate, right? These are things that he's talking about that he wanted, if it passed the House, amendments and loopholes put in by the Senate, that the Senate would put in place and then vote on. It would go back to the House, they'd vote on it, go back to the Senate, they'd vote on it, and then that would take the time. So the time that would eat up, again, trying to get to midterms. Let's get closer to midterms. The closer we can get, and if we can get past midterms without having to deal with this, then, all the better. And it's just not looking like that's coming to fruition for these assholes.
That they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous.
Yes, the critical sources and methods on how they investigated a child sex trafficking ring. Because God forbid people know how, to investigate a child sex trafficking ring, or how they, come about the information that they did. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. And again, if you came by information through the use of, informants or whatnot, then don't they have code names? Don't they have, monikers that they could go by where it wouldn't release or give away their identity and they could still be used or whatever it may be, that type of thing. I'm sure this has all been thought out by these people beforehand. But again, just more obfuscation, another way to do this. And this didn't happen. I just want to make it clear that this did not happen. He didn't get his way with all of this bullshit, which is why he looked so upset, which is why he was so eager to get to that meeting with MBS and to stop answering questions from, reporters in that case. So let's dive into this, because I thought this is wild too. And we'll only have to get through a couple minutes of this as well. But this is Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, on with Chris Cuomo on News Nation, and kind of proving what I said right, proving what I said yesterday right as well, with my theory on, how he came out and kind of denied the fact that it was Bill Clinton associated with the nickname Bubba in the email that everybody was talking about, that, Jeffrey asked if Putin had seen the pictures of Trump blowing Bubba, right? So I said, take that with a grain of salt. I reported it just for the sake of journalistic integrity, to tell you that it had been reported that way. But I also told you to take it with a grain of salt, because the people involved were all sickos anyway, and buddy. At one point, you don't roll in the same circle as tight-knit as these people did without being buddy. So Mark Epstein kind of gives the ball game away in this and proves me right, where he says, I like Bill Clinton. We were good friends. That's why I had to come out and kind of, I felt bad that he was going through it, which is, again, telling us that, it still possibly could be Bill Clinton in my eyes. Very well still could be Bill Clinton, or could be Ghislaine Maxwell's fucking horse. Either way, not good for Donald Trump, right? But again, doesn't mean, basically what he's saying is he's trying to protect a buddy, is what I'm getting across. But here is Mark Epstein on with Chris Cuomo, and I think I can fast forward to where he comes on here. Yeah, I think he comes on here, and then we'll go on. Let's talk about this, because again, this information, this sentence basically in this, where he talks about, the Republicans aren't scared to release this now, because I've been told by a credible source that they have wiped this information clean. They have basically wiped the files of any involvement of any Republicans. And I passed it to you guys in the chat to determine how true or false that statement is, or how plausible that could possibly be, and why that might explain a little bit of the reversal from the Republicans. But let's check this out. Please hit that like button. Again, I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics. Thank you to everybody watching over on this space as well. I appreciate all the mods over there. You guys do fantastic work. It's a pleasure to be associated with all the creators over there. I'm really appreciative of all the time that you guys spend on representing the channel. We got Jeff Waldorf coming up after me as well. So a ton of stuff every single day from this space. And I appreciate you guys doing what you do over there. But let's dive into this. I appreciate you.
They try to pin it on Clinton, So I made a public statement that it was not any reference to Bill Clinton. I like Bill Clinton, and I'm sorry for him that he had to go through.
I like Bill Clinton, and I'm sorry for him that he had to go through this. So this is Mark Epstein talking about why he had to come out and make the statement he did, basically trying to deny that Bubba was in any way associated with Bill Clinton in these emails. But the more he talks, the more Mark Epstein fucking talks in this, talking about how it's just an email between brothers and it's nobody's business. It kind of makes me point back to the fact that it could very well be Bill Clinton, especially after we've seen, the painting of Bill Clinton in the purple dress or the blue dress or whatever it is with the fucking blue shoes. With the red shoes that he's got on, and the necklace sitting in Epstein's chair that was in Epstein's apartment. I mean, who knows? You just never know with these freaks. Enough baby oil, enough ecstasy, and you just never know what could happen at the end of the night. But all right, let's dive into this. Yeah. And sorry, is it a little quiet for you guys? I don't know. It seems a little quiet on my end. See if I can turn that up. Everything's up kind of as much as I could possibly do. I'll try not to interject. That way, if you guys need to turn it up, you can turn it up. I'll let it play to where he gets the important parts, and then we'll chime in after. All right? How about that?
Email had nothing to do with Clinton, and that's my last word on that email. What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things, and the reason for the flip, is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it.
Okay, did you hear what he just said? I'll play it one more time because I don't know. Maybe this could be at some point a very credible piece of information that might be really big to point back on and look back on in the future. Or it could be a total lie and it could be, useless information and we might get the entirety of the files. Anyway, I don't know. I can't predict the future. But again, this is Jeffrey Epstein's brother telling, a news network, News fucking Nation here, that he has credible information. He's been told that, the reason that the Republicans have now done this reversal is because they know that these files have been wiped clear. Like we heard the 1,000 FBI agents that were tasked on, again, redacting Donald Trump's name from these files. So it doesn't seem that out of bounds, doesn't seem like that out of the realm of possibility for this to have happened. So again, I play this one more time where he talks about what he does want to tell. He doesn't want to talk about that email with Bill Clinton and Bubba. What he does want to talk about is this credible, or what he deems as credible information he's received.
I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things, and the reason for the flip, is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
That's what I was told by a pretty good source, right? Where did he say the facility was?
These files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia.
There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia. So not just a random statement. He also has a location, a potential location for where this is taking place. It sounds like a specific location. It's not it doesn't sound like a major town or city in Virginia that I've heard of, at least. But again, what's to say? Who did he talk to? Who does he know? Who does he have behind the scenes? Does, do people that were connected with Jeffrey Epstein that haven't been figured out, that may still have positions in high places in the FBI, in the CIA, in the DOJ, that have been fucking in the background all this time? Are they still giving credible information to people like Mark Epstein? Are they still relaying credible information to people like this? Who knows? I don't know. Who knows? But we will find out. But for Mark Epstein to say here that, listen, the Republicans are now doing this because they know and have been engaged in scrubbing, I think he says sanitizing the files of Republican names. How long ago was it that we heard Trump? How long ago was it that we heard that Trump's name was being redacted by 1,000? There was 1,000 FBI agents tasked day and night with redacting this guy's name. How long ago was that? So if it started then, right, if they've had this ample time to go through all of these files and they've sent it through in different organizations and different people and thousands of different employees to try to sift through this for any mention of any Republican, how many files could they have gotten through? I don't know. I guess it's a number. It's a question of math that needs to be asked. And I'm not sure if he says anything else here, but let's see.
Scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source. And my main focus.
Look, do you believe that? Do you believe? Hold on, Mark, hold on a second. Two things. One, if you don't want to talk about it.
Jesus Christ. Nice stash, brother. Where did that come from? Huh? Don Corleone Cuomo over here. All right, settle down there, Chief. And I'm in limbo again. Because I kind of feel like I ran out of time. We still do have 10 minutes, but I just don't know. I think we can at least go over this in a little bit of detail, I guess. I don't want to. Well, should we? Hell, let's take a look at this. I'll actually save this for tonight because I don't want to. That should give the, it deserves the time, to go through it quite, the whole thing and not just bits and pieces of it, this is what I'm talking about, which I've been trying to get through for the last couple days here, but just haven't really found time on, on the show. But we'll do that later tonight on this evening's podcast. We'll talk about this, the scandal that's going on in Ukraine, also the updates from the front line as well as we typically do. But yeah, we'll save that for later tonight so I can devote the time it deserves to that and not just kind of fly by it. Very quickly. But let's see if we can get anything from Trump's Truth Social. Is he freaking out at all? I'm dying to see here. So what's he posting? This is from 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago. Come on, it's got to be something. He's got to be yelling at somebody, right? He's got to be screaming at somebody. Let's see here. Investment in AI. Here he goes. What's he saying here? I'll get out of the way so you guys can read it. I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at some other time in the near future. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off of all the victories that we've had, including the great, big, beautiful bill. I don't know if he means Clinton in that or if he's talking about that shitty, decrepit, moldy, stanky bill that he passed earlier on in this administration. Closed borders, no men and women's sports, or transgender for everyone, DEI, yada, yada, yada. Being respected by everybody in the country, in the world, having trillions of dollars invested, having created hottest country anywhere, even delivering huge defeat to Democrats in the shutdown, make America great again. So he doesn't care. It doesn't say, I don't care because I'll pass it. He just says, I don't care when the Senate passes the bill. Like, where do you not care because you'll sign it whenever? Because that's not what that's not what this says. You just say you don't care, which is probably not something you should put online. Let's see here. Nope, still nothing about it. That might be the only freak out. Mike Braun, congratulations to the world. Scott Jennings, don't care about that. Rhinos. Yeah, so these are all a couple days ago. So it doesn't look like he's had, looks like people have kind of taken the phone out of his hands as far as posting on Truth Social is concerned and freaking out about this. Or he's just been having so much fun kind of meeting with MBS, if you know what I mean. He hasn't had time to pick up the old cell phone to tweet out there what he actually feels about what's going on with the Epstein files. But yeah, a lot of stuff that we talked about yesterday already deemed to have, come to fruition is really, deemed to be plausible. Again, this whole, the whole Bill Clinton and, taking it with a grain of salt that Mark Epstein said it wasn't Bill Clinton. And I said, hey, very well could just be saying this because he's still friendly or, was at one time very friendly with these people and doesn't want to see them kind of drag through the mud any more than they already have been. And felt it necessary to come out. And it could have very well have been Bill Clinton for all we know. I don't know. Another thing is how much Donald Trump and Mike Johnson wanted these loopholes and the amendments put in by the Senate before it went to Donald Trump's desk, and how fucking panicked and scared they were going to be if this started getting, some momentum, if this started getting more speed that they could stop, at a time of their choosing, because they weren't able to put in the amendments and the loopholes. And now it is solely on the responsibility of Donald Trump to get this signed. And then I believe, as we heard today, it would give the DOJ up to 30 days to release what they have, the information that they have. So, it's definitely something that we're going to be looking out for. And again, not to break my arm, pat myself on the back, but for a channel with less than 15,000 subscribers, I think we've kind of hit the nail on the head a few times, whether it be, covering and the importance of covering the ongoing MAGA battle, the ongoing MAGA civil war, and what the three talking points should be focused on. The anti and pro-Israel aspect of MAGA, the Charlie Kirk and the conspiracy theories and the sides of that fight, and also the Epstein files. There's a fight going on in MAGA between, people kind of wanting to let Donald Trump off the hook. We've heard people like Eric Bolling the other day say that he believes the base, that Donald Trump's base he wouldn't lose any support even if it did come out that he was in the Epstein file. So you got people willing to drop to that level. You got people like Megyn Kelly trying to excuse people like Jeffrey Epstein and kind of conflate the fact that, oh, don't worry, he was only into like 15-year-olds, which I believe she called barely legal, which again is ridiculous for somebody that has a background in law like Megyn Kelly does, if I'm not mistaken. For her to, especially as she has a 14-year-old daughter herself, to call a 14 or 15-year-old child barely legal when it's clearly defined what legal means is pretty fucking ridiculous and pretty telling, and just goes to show, how willing these people are to debase themselves, to, just to throw themselves down again in a fucking pile of shit so that Donald Trump could walk on their backs to keep his shoes clean. So, and then you got the other side of the people, the other side of the base that is, becoming more and more willing, more and more able, and more likely to call Donald Trump on his bullshit too. We've got Tim Dillon saying that MAGA is over. You got Nick Fuentes saying that MAGA is over. Nick Fuentes actively trying to put his hat literally in the ring now. His America First hat, not only is it blue to Donald Trump's red hat, but it's also America First to Donald Trump's Make America Great hat again. Make America Great Again hat, excuse me. So he's kind of given a direct challenge is what I see. I see that as a direct challenge. The next thing, set up in line to take this Republican Party even more right-wing, since that, Nick Fuentes is even more racist, even more hate-filled, even more bigoted, even more anti-Semitic, even more homophobic, even more transphobic than anything that we've seen come from Donald Trump or the Republican Party thus far, right? So in this ever-growing push to the right, is it just the next inevitable step for the Republican Party to turn towards Nick Fuentes as their next bastion, as their next savior, as their next kind of cult-like mentality that they get behind? I think it's definitely something that we need to watch out for, because it's people like Candace Owens, it's people like Nick Fuentes that are very rapidly seeing a rise in their popularity as far as right-wing commentators, as far as people, quote-unquote conservatives and what they're watching. We've seen people like Asmongold, the guy with the rats and the cockroaches, covering him, explode in his popularity, and the ridiculous shit that he says on a day-to-day basis. But Nick Fuentes is quite literally the whitest of white nationalists, which is get all the black, brown, Jews, all of them out of this country. We want a solely white nation. That's what he believes. So when he's talking about America First, he means, literally not helping a single fucking country, a single soul in a different country. He means just solely isolationists at all costs, nationalism at all costs. We have to make sure that we have to keep one eye on the future and what this Republican Party is potentially morphing into as we're, focused on combating and getting rid of Donald Trump and Make America Great and MAGA, the cult that is. We also have to be worried about and watching and see if we can get ahead of the battle, ahead of the curve that seems to be just ahead of us. Even and if and when MAGA does die, it seems like this America First will be the next thing that we have to slay as far as political stances, political opinions, and that type of shit. So it's definitely important that we stay informed. It's definitely important that you guys stay involved and stay educated onto what's going on. I appreciate you guys for watching shows like this. Again, this is Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. I really do thank not only the mods, but everybody in the chat, everybody that's kind enough to contribute, send a buck or two and help out. We have our VIP Zoom coming up the 20th, which is tomorrow night. So anybody signed up at patreon.com/Boston Brian before tomorrow night will get access to that link, to that code, get you access into the Zoom chat. Again, just gives us a little more ability to put a face behind the screen name and to, just to say hi to one another. It's kind of a cool way to get to know each other. And I really do appreciate everybody that joins us on a regular basis. I'm going to toss it over to my main man, Jeff Waldorf, over there on this space. At this point, if you're here on Blunt Politics watching, make sure you stick around so I can say thank you to anybody that sent over a contribution on Venmo or here on YouTube. So make sure you stick around. But here, to everybody on this space, thank you so much. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to everybody over there. I hope Jeff takes it away at this point. point and kicks ass, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't watched him before, I definitely advise you to head over there and check him out. So I very much appreciate you guys. Thank you for all you do over there. And I will catch you guys next Wednesday on this space. Everybody else, I'll see you tonight for our evening edition of Blunt Politics, 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 here on the West Coast. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe on the way out. Thank you guys. Jeff, take it away, my man. I do appreciate you. All right. And the editors or the producers over there on this space are actually really, really good. And they've done a great job of cutting it at the right time. So I kind of give them a pause so they know when to do that. And I'll thank everybody here on my own channel for contributing and, making sure that this channel stays running because, again, no advertisers. I have no products to sell you. There's nothing hidden behind a paywall. There's no content that you will miss out on if you don't have $1 to spend on watching it. You can go and watch everything that I've ever done, everything that I've ever put out. The only thing that I ask is if you're in the financial position to do so, and you care about supporting independent media creators. I myself gave up a career in plumbing to bring you guys the news and the aspects of politics that I think were overwhelmingly important in overwhelmingly overshadowing anything that anybody could do in their personal lives, regardless of how well you're set up. If Donald Trump, again, is getting us into 7 active wars, if Donald Trump is stripping men, women, and people of color of rights on a daily basis, it really doesn't matter what job you have or what career you have, because you're not going to have that quality of life. You're not going to want to live in this country anyway. So, I gave up a pretty substantial career in order to bring you guys what I thought was the most important aspect of the news today. And I hope that you guys appreciate and I know that I thank everybody who's been here since day one, all the OGs and everybody that's helped keep me going. So thank you very much. Let's bring up the Venmo, see if we can thank anybody that was kind enough to shoot one over today, whether it be $1 or $2. That's all I ask for. Anything above and beyond that is totally on you guys. So let's see here. Oh, my goodness. Nancy, you fucking saint, you. Nancy with a $50 Venmo. Let's go. She says, I love Wednesdays now. Can't wait for updates from Ukraine. Yes, my apologies. I have to do better at time management, Nancy, now that you bring that up. But sometimes we get so kind of heavily involved in these other stories that I lose track of time. We did have 10 minutes to go over it, but like I said, I want to give it the appropriate time that it takes so we can go over everything that happened and everything that's ongoing, especially on the front lines. But Nancy, thank you so much. I'll see you later on tonight. As always, I apologize we didn't get to it in the day show here, but thank you. And that goes for Robert as well. I'll just say, okay, thank you so much for the $5 Venmo. You guys have been fantastic and continue to be. And I just hope that support stays there and we can grow this channel. We're on our way to 15K as far as subscribers and 1,000 members. And, hopefully one day we can be on our way to 20,000 subscribers and then just kind of multiply from there. It would be very helpful if you guys took this show and went on to whatever social media platform that you use the most and you shared it out with your immediate followers and you kind of maybe brought it to your family members and you brought it to your coworkers or sent it out in an email or something like that and said, hey, give this show a watch, check this out. He also does, videos. I try to, if I have the time, break these live streams down into shorter videos to kind of break up the segments. So please make sure you check those out as well. The more play and more follows and more views that those get, the more beneficial it is to the entire channel. So thank you guys. Let's see if we can get into thanking people here on the old YouTube editions. First up is Karen Cooney. Thank you, Karen Cooney, for the one gifted. I appreciate that very much. Shout out to you. Very kind of you. Please tell the kiddies I said hello as well. Kathleen, shout out to you. Thank you so much for being here for 16 months. Love and hugs to dear friends. Right back at you, Kathleen. Congratulations. And again, thank you so much for your contributions and your loyalty to the channel. We really do appreciate it. That goes for Jolie as well. Same thing. Congratulations. Shout out to Jolie for being here for 10 months. Good morning. Right back at you. And thank you again. Hope you have a wonderful day. Jeff, what's up, my brother? Thank you for the 10. Shout out to you. Nobody, Bondi, Trump else knows what is in the file, but this guy knows national security is under threat. Right. So that's a great point too. So apparently they don't know, they don't know anything that's in this, right? Nobody's else is in this, but somehow there's a national security threat that they've deemed necessary to cover up. So again, great point, Jeff. I appreciate that. Way to point that out. Colleen, thank you so much and congratulations on the 11 months. Thank you so much. Saudi Arabia's speech he just finished was insane. Oh, the Trump speech. Yeah, maybe we'll see if we can dive into that a little bit. A couple of clips of that tonight. You talking about at the economic thing that he was at? Let me see. Yeah. Was it? Is he still speaking?
Even Congo and the Rwanda, they had 10 million people killed. It was out of control.
It's live?
I got that settled.
Oh my God, he's talking about the wars. We just hopped right in 2 seconds. He's talking about the wars that he didn't end. Unbelievable. But is this live? I'm not sure. Is this live or are they just kind of replaying this? They might be replaying
His father, who happens to be in this room, doing a great job, right? Got that settled. I settled 8 wars, and I'll tell you
again. How stupid! Yeah, look, to literally trying to talk to people that probably live in the regions that he's speaking about, and they're going home to fucking missiles and shots fired and everything else, and this thing kicking off, and he's saying that he ended all these wars. Just unreal. But thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll dive into some of the bullshit, some of the batshit nonsense that he had to say on the later show tonight. I appreciate you, Colleen. Thank you. Yvonne, what's happening? How are you? Jennifer Walsh is the one that gave Moses Mike Grinder Johnson his name. Yeah, she's got several nicknames for several people that seem to have caught on. But I appreciate that, Yvonne. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you do as well. Thank you so much for your contributions and your kindness as well. That goes for Angela. Angela, shout out to you. Thank you for $5. Somebody brought me a membership. Oh, excuse me. Somebody bought me a membership yesterday. You know who you are. Thank you very much. Well, it's very kind of you, Angela, to reach back out to thank those people. I always, advise anybody that receives a gifted membership, or even if you didn't receive it, even if you just see somebody else kind of giving them out in the chat, to reach out, thank that person, show them, a sign of appreciation, give them a little shout out. That way people know how much they're helping and assisting the community by doing so. So thank you, Angela. Very kind of you to acknowledge that, and I appreciate you for doing so. Yvonne's back in, gifting 5 memberships like the queen she is. Thank you so much, Yvonne. We appreciate you. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you everything you do for this channel. That goes for JD as well with the super sticker. That goes for Coco as well with the super sticker. Thank you so much, Coco, JD, Jerry. Love you and Mel. Slava Ukraini. Heroyam Slava. Right back at you, Jerry. I appreciate you as well. And that rounds it out for today. So great show. I appreciate you guys. I always do. Make sure you tune back in tonight again, 8:30 p.m. if you're on the East Coast, 5:30 p.m. here on the West Coast. And that is a double-hour show. That's a 2-hour show. So we got a little bit more time to dive into. Again, we'll see what Donald Trump had to say in this, quote, U.S.-Saudi investment forum. And then we'll see what else he had to say. Again, and what Mike Johnson has to say about the signing, again, of the bill that is now set to be in front of Donald Trump, passed by the Senate, gone through by the Senate, and is now up to Donald Trump here to sign it into law to release the Epstein file. So I appreciate you guys. Once again, I'm Boston Brian. I'll see you guys later on tonight. Oh, thank you again, Yvonne. Let's go. My grandson was here and was impressed with my pants with the chat. What? Boston Brian, my grandson was here and was impressed with my pants with the chat. What? Oh, Vaughn, you're crazy. You are crazy. We got to have a pint together at one point. We definitely have to have a pint. What's up, Kyle? How are you, brother? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Some familiar faces in the chat. Really appreciate you joining. What's up, Everett? What's up, Manda? What's up, Karen? Cruising for a bruising. Chris, Doug, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Good to see you, all of you. What's up, Alan? What's up, Rox? What's up, Hazel? What's up, Pam, Frida? We got the whole crew here today, and I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I'll see you guys later on this evening. Make sure you guys are having a fabulous day. Get something good to eat, right? See if you can support some other independent creators, and I'll see you later on, all right? I appreciate you. Again, I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics, and I'll catch you tonight, 8:30 on the East Coast, 5:30 here on the West Coast for our next episode of Blunt Politics. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. I thought something was going on, Yvonne. Either that, you were dipping into the old sauce a little early today. You might have a few points of Guinness here already. Thanks, Dad. Love you, big guy. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support.
never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting, never fight uphill, me boys, but it was too late. You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your... They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated. You appreciate those camels? I haven't seen camels like that in a long time.
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers. He'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
Yesterday's a hard word for me.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
In the hell was that all about? Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Nothing bad can happen, it can only good happen. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. God bless the United States.